What's up, everybody? Welcome to another edition of the Lore Games. What's up? How you doing? It's Thursday. It's my favorite day of the week. We're back at the Lore Games. We had a week off. It was nice. Traveled around, had some fun. Got to relax. Had a couple beers. Swam in a pool. But I missed you guys. I had to come back. We had to get going. So, we are going to have a lot of fun tonight. We're continuing our Lore Games journey. This is just as a reminder of what the Lore Games is. You are about to witness a beta test of a system that we were building, a game that we were building that allows the adult fantasy community to create high-level lore, like what actually happens in the adult fantasy universe. So us, along with you, work together, we're developing a story together. In case this is your first time, or if you missed a couple episodes, this is actually Volume 2. We finished Volume 1. Volume 1 turned out freaking awesome. And in fact, through working with the players on screen and you guys in the audience, we came up with what I think is, and what I think we all agreed on, was a pretty badass story. And as such, Zach, who is playing tonight, as usual, is actually turning it into a full-blown novel. So the system works. We are polishing it and testing it, and we're going to start to add some new flourishes into it coming soon. But we are going to jump into Volume 2, and we'll start discussing that. Before we jump in completely, it's time to announce our players for the evening. So let's start with the person right here. What's up, Flint? How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing pretty good. How's it going?
I'm doing great. How have you been?
I'm doing good, man. Happy to be here.
Yeah, man. I'm so excited. Like, the first volume came out, and it turned out to be kind of like this dark barbarian war saga with it's like Conan meets Godzilla, and this new one, it has kind of like a Men in Black vibe to it, which is, I love Men in Black. It's
pretty dope, right?
It's pretty awesome. So welcome, dude. Let's see who we have next. Over there, I'm going to shoot a hoop over Flint, and we're going to say hello to Studio 7.62, better known as Avery. Avery, what's up, brother? How you doing?
I'm good, man. How about you?
I'm doing great, man. I'm doing great. Missed you guys. I'm glad to be back in the saddle. It's everything. It's behind the scenes. There's so much stuff going on with adult fantasy, and so many things we have rocking and rolling, that it's a little hard to keep track of everything. Like, there's so much stuff going on. It's pretty crazy. It's pretty nuts. Welcome. And for those that don't know, and I should do this is my bad. So for those that don't know, Flint is actually co-founder of Adult Fantasy. Kind of important.
Nah.
Kind of important.
Nah.
He's the human responsible for the amazing grading technology and the case design. Studio 7.62, Avery is a internationally renowned artist, illustrator. He's done amazing work with Heavy Metal Magazine, Image Comics. He's also working with Adult Fantasy. He's actually creating the art for the origin story #1 featuring Devoid, which we are actually getting a ton of questions and answers from the community as we speak. People have been engaged. So everyone, thank you guys. If you haven't answered some of those questions, help us out, answer them. It actually has an impact on the story and on the whole thing. So super excited to have you again, Avery. Thank you, brother. Right here down below, we have Andrew Charper. Andrew is a phenomenal illustrator. He's an independent comic guy, has done several volumes. I can think of 6. I know there's more because I literally have a shelf right here. You can't see it. This shelf right here, below this shelf right here, is a shelf that is 80% Andrew work. I might actually bump it up so I can just point to it and be like, this whole side of the shelf is Andrew's work. He also owns and operates one of the best retail stores in Jacksonville, Florida, called Misfit Corner Comics. one of my all-time favorite stores. That is not because I know him and love him, and he will kneecap me if I don't mention it. What's up, Andrew? How you doing, man?
You know, for a minute there, I thought I had missed you, and then I saw you. That's all.
Problem solved.
Problem solved. That's right.
Right back in the saddle, ready to go.
That's awesome. Welcome, Andrew. And last but not least, bottom corner over here. I don't know if it's left or right. Bottom corner here. We have Zachary Arbella. Zach is a 13-time novelist, fantasy novelist. His books are phenomenal. He's also writing for adult fantasy. And the guy knows a tremendous amount about fantasy and lore. And we are so honored to have him. What is up, Zachary? How you doing, buddy?
I am a fish.
What?
Okay. Anyway, I know what that's in reference to, by the way. I know what that's in reference to.
Okay, good, because if you can tell me, I forgot. I'm fairly certain it's Douglas Adams or Douglas Adams or Red Dwarf.
Oh, okay. No, there was another thing. Isn't there an upcoming Disney movie where someone asked, like, are you a fish or are you a man or something like that? I don't know. It got a little.
I would never, ever quote something from the evil empire of Mickey Mouse.
Do you like fish sticks?
Oh,
I do,
no.
actually.
Fair enough.
Oh, no.
I'm fairly certain Uncle Walt's cryogenically preserved head is buried deep in a vault about a mile below Cinderella's castle, where he secretly controls an intergalactic crime network.
And with that, it's time to start the live game. All right. Let's jump in.
There's your conspiracy theory right there for you.
Oh,
I love it, man. I love it.
This is what happens when we're gone for a week.
It really is.
What happens when you've been working all day and you're incredibly sleep deprived.
Totally. So I'm gonna read this really quick. We finished the sort of the brain teaser section of our story game last time. So we did the it's based off of a game called Microscope right now, and basically it's just a way for us to generate ideas, throw the spaghetti against the wall. There's nothing off limits. Everyone gets a say. Everyone gets to add and change. And so what we want to do now is we want to kind of go through this, review it, and then we will move into part 2, which is the story circle. And so the story circle we'll put it into a little bit of a dial, and we'll figure out some moves for there. So really quick, just to refresh our minds, I'm going to run very quickly through Microscope. I'm going to read some of the stuff so that we can remember what happened last time. Here we go. The cult hails from early times, formed due to the events of Blood and Metal. Last Crusade meets Kingsman meets Warehouse 13, BPRD, Men in Black, Prime. We've got Search, Leaders, Watch, and Warriors. Like there's different primordial groups. We call them the Prime, possibly. We call them something like maybe the latter-day Antediluvians, which is pretty darn funny. Antediluvian Witnesses, Luvians, Prime Diluvian, the Flock. That was Carrots that pushed that. MK Kronos is in chat. What's up? He says, "Load tinfoil hat." What's up, Panthen? Oh my gosh, Panthenet. What's up, man? How are you? What's up, Willie D? Everybody, welcome. The spear and the shaft, sword and shield, axe and hammer, blood and metal. We're looking at combinations of these terms. Maybe they have a secret mark to notice others in the cult. Only members can see. Cult members have core DNA radiation from primordial ship, right? Because we talked about maybe these watchers that were in blood and metal started this cult to kind of keep an eye on things, and maybe they were radiated from being in that abandoned ship, and maybe over time they've learned how to see each other. Special eye contacts, nanobots, we were trying to figure out or have some ideas for how they would communicate or know each other. Stanwell discovers genome of cult members, expands the search way more than they ever realized. Cerebro for the human genome, which is pretty cool. That was another Carrots one. Ring, blood reacts to mercury-based ring, which is pretty cool. So the overall concept-ish idea was that there were 4 brothers tasked with keeping watch for the primordial's return. They had a singular purpose. Each group had a singular purpose. One was to find weapons to defend against it. Think of these as treasure hunters. One brother goes to build an army if weapons aren't strong enough. One went into politics and one stayed behind. And we contended that maybe the one that stayed behind was the person who ended up developing science and technology. The generations turned it more into a cult or Illuminati, groups of treasure hunters. And we even made the premise of like, well, maybe everyone or a lot of the heroes in adult fantasy are actually descendants of this group. And maybe that is actually the that is why they have their powers, maybe because of that original radiation from the primordial ship. So maybe everything is tied together that way. Maybe Stanwell is part of the group looking for signs and exploring the universe, not tied to Earth. Over time, the singular purpose morphed and changed based on necessity and need. In the future, everyone that is descended of the Four have nightmares. Like there's a tie. The interesting thing that, and I don't know if we cover this, but we talked about, I'm sure it's in here somewhere, that because these generations have crossed over through time, these groups don't necessarily know anymore that they're connected, right? Like the treasure hunters, people looking for weapons, don't necessarily know that they're tied to by the same seed, by the same brother or a different brother, to the army, to the politicians, right? Like it's been spread out over time. It's just like, we may all come from the same descendants, but we don't necessarily know that because, we're not necessarily doing all our DNA testing or something. So they may all be connected. They may not know it. So that actually creates some opposing forces once people start going after the same thing. All four groups must come together to defeat the primordial, but in modern times, they don't want to share. Power, fortune, riches have come. Example would be Black Panther. Much of what we have today comes from the Four Brothers. One way or another, everyone in our main character list is tied to stopping the primordial, whether they know it or not. We started comparing some people. The group Splinter, all war events are led by offshoots of the Four. All are built on defending the world from the primordial, whether they remember or not. Global catastrophe protection. Every country has a leader that knows this, possibly. In our country, in the United States, maybe it's General Steele, maybe not. Over time, the real story gets changed. The original purpose has been lost to time. So this is some of the characters and how they might fit in. I'll skip that for now. A new recruit, Terran, reaches out to Vorpal to investigate. List of characters to find out the truth. At the end, meets Solar Mannequin, becomes kind of like a Doctor Who companion, possibly, to Solar Mannequin. Basically, we need a main character who's going to lead this. Maybe Terran is the new recruit into this Men in Black-like situation. Dude Man had the idea. Terran awakens from the nightmare, doesn't realize she has powers. Turns out that she is the Constantine character, and Primordial unlocks her psychic consciousness. Primordial triggers powers, so he has something to consume and or fight. Maybe that's why. Maybe it's actually done on purpose. Gladiator ring from Blood and Metal made him happy. Basically, this is the idea that Primordial's a bad dude. He just actually really enjoyed that gladiator ring where he was like slaughtering everything. The flip side of that is that he did enjoy the gladiator ring, but it wasn't the gladiator ring that made him happy. It's the fact that winning and approval from his mother made him happy. So that approval from his mom could be a reason for him to help humans against this battle planet thing that we kind of came up with way later on in his character life. And so superheroes are the next army that Steel needs to put together to fight the primordial, kind of like cattle ranchers. So in the same way, I guess, that Nick Fury was used in the Avengers to collect superheroes, you could say that the brother that was tasked with creating the army or gathering the army over the generations never found an army that was strong enough or big enough. And so they said, well, we'll just make the army, right? Maybe that's the whole. Maybe we need the primordial needs to beat the primordial, so we have primordial blood or something. Ring passed down from grandfather to grandson. Grandson investigates, joins the Diluvians, cops, Men in Black, CIA. They're investigating murder, so maybe they start off investigating something normal. And this is what we'll probably work on tonight with story structure in the story circle. Maybe they start something normal, like investigating murders. The antagonist is related to one of the Four Brothers, like a blood disease. Maybe it was just diagnosed. with him, it drives him nuts because it can identify it. He goes after those that are the same. Like maybe it's a serial killer, like a primordial like brother character, like one of those like characters going after, almost like a Highlander type, or a Seven, I guess. Think of one guy at first. Maybe it turns into be a group. Let's see, Barry Dillon from Archer, Rasputin from Kingsman. Primordials returning, sending signals into dreams. We have some Raised from the Dead stuff, rock music, 1970s funk. And this is some combinations. Men in Black was a key, between all of it. Maybe it takes place in the 1970s, right? That could be kind of cool. It takes place in the 70s. Two officers, one's a rookie cop or profiler. They begin by solving a murder due to a mysterious object. This eventually leads to ancient cults, apathetic apes, zombie grandmas, the awakening of the primordial, the destruction of the planet, and hard rock music ballads. I think that's fucking awesome. However, I am just one. And we talk about some metal. Maybe it's the villain's heartbeat that's driving him insane. Can hear the heartbeat of others. And the parts of the ship that are broken within the Bermuda Triangle, radiation, weird anomalies, etc. This kind of brings in that Warehouse 13 concept of searching out artifacts. So with that said, we are going to jump into the story circle. So, we had to catch up, but now we're going to jump into the story circle. I'm going to copy paste this just so that we have a little bit of a reference, because I do think this summed up some good stuff. Right here. I think I'll just copy paste this and go all the way to the top and just copy in here. All right. So now it's time for the story circle. The story circle, and you guys have, just so that everybody knows, in Discord, there's a link to the sheet so you can follow along. Also, all the players have their sheet as well, so they can check this out. We're going to be going through the story circle tonight. The story circle is just 8 notches on a dial that basically create a hero's journey. So we're just going to go through and knock it out, right? And real quick, I'm going to say hello to Carrots. What's up, Carrots? Welcome. And Ray, just what's up, man? How are you? Welcome. All right, so let's jump in. We're going to start with you. And let's see what we want to do. Like, I think there's a couple ways we could do this. So last time what we did, and you guys tell me if you want to play something different or try something different or what. But last time what we did was we kind of just talked it out and kind of put some ideas down inside of you, and we kind of hammered it out as working all of us together as a group, including chat. We also, I'll throw something out there. Another way we could do this is each one of us comes up with a you idea, and then we take a vote on the best one. Now it's a little hard because you can't vote for your own thing, or we can figure out we can do that later. We can always try different ways later, and just kind of continue how we've been doing it before.
Just continue how we're doing it before.
All right, let's do it. Sounds good. We can always change up. I am going to be playing with the rules because I have some ideas, but we don't have to do that tonight. So
some bit is it's been a bit, and I don't remember. Oh God,
what's that? What did he say? No, never mind.
If you keep doing that, you're going to go blind.
Never mind. It's true. Well, I am nearsighted, so that should tell you something. Anyway, okay. So the U part is the first on the dial. If you look to the right, we have the story circle.
Right.
It's the character. It's the hero's journey. Basically, it's you in a zone of comfort. Like, who is this character, and what's their zone of comfort? Where do we start? I put at the top. 1970s, 2 officers, 1 rookie cop profiler, one rookie cop to a profiler begins solving a murder due to a mysterious object. This does not have to be what we use, but it seemed to be where we were headed, so I'm putting it there.
Yeah, maybe.
Did we have profilers in the 70s?
Well, we could have profilers for mysterious objects. Like,
Oh, okay.
it could be for like the Warehouse 13 concept,
gotcha.
the Indiana Jones arc warehouse, right? Like the people that find the objects or something.
Did we decide if these two officers were aware of all of the secret cult stuff or not at the beginning of the story?
I believe I don't know if we did, but I believe the answer would be no, because it would be the discovery of the cult that would kind of push them into that go side where they actually kind of go into the underbelly, and all of a sudden it's a different world, and it's like the world of the Illuminati, right? Like maybe their normal day to day is cops on a beat or investigators on a beat for mysterious space objects like Area 51 type shit, or mysterious, legends of mythology or something, and then they fall into a world of cults and zombie grandmas.
Yeah, I like the potentially the idea of like the opening being, hey, they're solving a crime. This is something they do, literally every day. That's their comfort zone. Is like, yeah, it's a murder, but this is the second murder today that they're looking at. But then something weird is happening. Something tips them off that things are strange. I don't know what that something is, but I feel like that's the comfort zone for you, right?
Possibly, for sure. That could be one option. Also, Dusty is throwing down vote. So maybe what we'll do is we'll see if we come up with we'll see in this structure if we come up with multiple characters in a zone of comfort, and then we can maybe vote for the best one if there are multiples. If not, we'll just stick to what we got. I personally, in my head, it's kind of like this. Like, I kind of like the idea that it's the 1970s, and it's like, I think we could maybe expand on it a little bit, like say something like, oops, that's not what I wanted. Like, the main character is like is just joining, like is basically inside of Men in Black. You didn't just jump in to the cops, right? You actually jump into Will Smith's character as a normal person, and then I don't actually remember the story. It's been a while. Andrew remembers because he has a freaking mind like a steel trap with this stuff. But he gets called in, right? Like, he's going through the process. He gets offered. And then he goes to the training facility and goes through all these weird tests. And then the go is actually getting into Men in Black.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah. He's a vehicle for the viewer to be like introduced to everything. That way you can piecemeal it out step by step. It's almost the same thing with Scully in X-Files. Even though she's already an FBI agent, you don't just jump into who they are. You follow Scully a little bit, and you introduce it to Mulder, and just kind of slowly introduce you to the weird.
So really, this would be an introduction to the main character, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is that something that? How are we feeling, Zach? What do you think?
Think. Yeah. I mean, that's a fairly decent way to get the to get the guy in. Just bear in mind that if this is going to be the 70s, it's got to be a little more loose, a little more Starsky and Hutch or Life on Mars, the BBC version, the British version.
Mm-hmm.
So. So it's not going to be like Men in Black, which is basically 90s New York. It's going to be like New York, 70s New York, which was basically 1970s New York. Think Panic in Needle Park, Dog Day Afternoon, The Taking of Pelham 1, 2, 3.
Mm-hmm.
So lots of bell bottoms. The cops aren't going to be like kitted out for bear like they are nowadays. Maybe they'll have a pistol, and they'll just have a pistol and So I'm seeing this. I'm seeing this guy kind of like Popeye Doyle from the French Connection, but younger and less Gene Hackman-y. If that makes any sense.
Yeah.
Or more Gene Hackman-y, or maybe like a young Harrison Ford, or I'm sorry, my something like that,
Totally. Panthanite says, intro is the dragonfly shot into the windshield of an illegal immigrant truck carrying an alien. Like an actual alien, I guess. That'd be kind of funny.
I think so. Yeah.
Like an actual alien. That'd be hilarious.
Yeah. That's exactly Men in Black.
That's right. That's right. So we could.
Nice.
So okay, inside of you, who is our main character? So we know is it going to be male, like this a young Harrison Ford, Popeye Doyle, or would it be, which is Gene Hackman, or female?
It would more than likely statistically be a man especially in the 70s.
Cool. Sausage Fest. Got it. So we could do. And Andrew, what do you think, Andrew?
No, I'm just listening.
You can pitch in.
Right now, I'm just listening.
Okay, you're just Andrew will jump in. So do we want? So okay, let's say that if we agree, if we agree right now that it's going to be a male, who is this person? Who's this guy? Is he like? I do think it makes sense to kind of follow the beat pattern where we introduce the character. That character has a need, they want something, and then they enter that unfamiliar situation and go, right? So it makes a lot of sense that he joins the agency and they actually begin to solve a murder due to a mysterious object, or they're looking for this Warehouse 13 type of stuff, right? Who is our main character?
I feel like, and at the risk of treading too close to Men in Black, I think he's like a young, kind of naive kind of guy. I feel like the old grizzled veteran kind of stereotype doesn't really fit.
It'd be the young guy, a little naive, a little
maybe
a little over idealistic.
Potentially, yeah.
Maybe he's the clean cut, thinks that cops are like
clean cut kid, quarterback on the high school football team.
We're gonna wreck this guy, aren't we?
Yeah. Oh yeah, he's gonna get wrecked. He's gonna be none of these things by the time he's done.
Right. So he what's his like, is there anything that we can pull from his daily life? We'll get into his need of why he wants to join this organization in a minute, or what happens to make him want this. Panthanite says Manchurian Candidate. Yeah.
Maybe he really doesn't know anything about the organization. Maybe he needs a job and has a family member that's on the inside. It's like, hey, come work for us.
Or maybe he's like Al Pacino's in Serpico. He's like a naive, clean cut cop, and he discovers a terrible secret.
No, that could be too. Yeah, I feel like he needs to be.
That's good.
A little clueless as to what he's getting into.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, I mean he's going from cutting the crust off his PB&Js to this.
That's awesome. That's great. That's a great. That's actually a great character visual.
Yeah.
So instead of needs a job, has a family member in, or discovers a terrible secret. Like maybe he's already a rookie cop.
Sure. That's how he gets introduced to the weird.
Yeah.
And, something really weird happens on a case that starts dragging him down that path.
Yeah. Yeah. So, something weird happens, and it's kind of, you can't put the toothpaste back in the tube sort of situation.
Yeah.
So he has to get read into all the other weird stuff that the department's doing.
Yeah. Like, and I mean weird in the Lovecraftian sense almost.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like it's really disjointing of your view of reality.
Yeah, I agree. Something completely like dark, but not like dark and terrifying, but not like a horror film, right?
Yes.
Like something that would, like, if you saw it, you wouldn't have a heart attack and drop dead. It's just something that like completely changes your view of everything.
Yeah.
MK Chrono says, if you're going with the Warehouse 13 vibe, that fits how the agents were introduced. That's awesome. I don't actually remember. It's been so long since I saw that show. Like, I don't actually remember the pilot or how they were introduced. I do remember though that it had God, I gotta watch that series again. It was so good, and I don't remember the character types either. Like, I don't remember if it had a little bit of a like a X-Files vibe, or one was a believer and one wasn't. Oh, that's right. Pete and Micah were Secret Service.
Right.
That's right.
That's right.
That's right. Yeah, totally. So he's this regular cop, rookie cop, cuts the cross off his PB&J. That's actually going to be great when we get to the next stuff where we kind of do the homework and play, right? Because at home, he's like getting dressed. He's all suit and it's all clean. He's ironing his thing. He's making this peanut butter jelly sandwich and cutting it into like a perfect square. Like, not even just cutting the crust off. It's like a square.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, he's put, he's,
measuring the sides of the toast.
He totally got an American flag, on his wall or something. Like, very, very wholesome American hero kind of. At least that's his ideology, like his desire. Yeah. Cool. So what is his? So we can kind of see this character now. Young, naive, idealistic, super clean cut, quarterback, rookie cop, cuts crust off a PB&J. What's his internal and external need? Like, what does he need internally? Like, what is he missing? And then same thing external. MK Chrono says, dig into PB&J that has to make it in. Yeah, I think that's for sure. It's really good. It's a good character thing. It really defines like who this person is, right?
Maybe his father was a cop and he's trying to live up to those expectations.
Yeah. And where's this set?
Good
New
question. I see New York, but
okay, New York. He's also an Irish lad, and his dad was a cop. Absolutely.
Yeah.
His dad was on the job too. Yeah, so he's living up to it.
Good. So he wants to live up to those expectations, basically to be the son, to be the son, to be the perfect son, kind of a thing, or make his dad proud.
Make his dad proud, who was killed in the line of duty. Come on, perfect. I mean,
right?
I guarantee you, this guy in the 70s existed.
Maybe his dad. We can find out later. His dad was killed in the line of duty by a mysterious object.
Sure, even better. The fact that it was a little weird, everything that went down was like a little off. So, which would emphasize his need to idealize it even more to protect the image of his father and the circumstances of his father's death.
That's right. Right. Carrot says, feels like someone who needs to try and set the world in order, which is why order matters so much in everything else. Yeah, I like that.
That's good too. Yeah.
Yeah, and then Chrono says, "Dad was a cop. Dad's dad was a cop. Generations."
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll write these down, guys, in just a second. And Carrot says, "So chaos and disorder ain't gonna go well with him.
No.
He's gonna be, yeah, exactly. He's almost. I don't want to go so far as to say that he would be like an undiagnosed OCD, right? But certainly
Definitely hyper fixated.
right.
That's why his creases that he irons in his pants and all are perfect. The shine on his shoes is perfect.
Right.
It cuts the crust off the bread. It makes it a perfect square.
Right.
It's gotta be just right.
Yeah.
And dad was a cop. So this is gonna be like, and I'll just put generational. Cool. So that's more of an internal thing. What's the external thing? And the external. So this is kind of what we've defined, what kind of drives him as a person, his need is as a person, but there's also needs to be an external thing because he's a cop and he likes order. So part of what we're establishing here is that this guy is probably incredibly loyal, right? In fact, we probably want to say like he's loyal, right?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So if he's loyal and he's a cop's cop, then him quitting the force to join this other thing is going to be a challenge. In fact, it's probably going to be the first debate. Like maybe in order for him to go to this agency, maybe he has to be dishonorably discharged, or maybe he has to be killed, quote unquote, killed.
Or the conflict is he's actually working for both.
Well, that might be
because they use people in every branch of government and in law enforcement and in military. So they don't want him to quit.
Possibly.
So now he has two masters.
Possibly, yeah. What is his? So basically there's an external. So there's an external thing that drives him. Maybe it's this. Maybe we kind of answered it. Maybe it's needs to know what killed his dad.
Sure.
I don't know, I'm throwing it out there. But that way, if he sees something that kills, if his dad is killed, right? And let's say that he's actually, been like tracking it, right? Like been tracking it, unsolved. I know I'm spelling things wrong. Unsolved, right? Pictures of his dad's death, right? Like pictures of the scene, files, etc. Right? And the reason I kind of popping this in here is because if he's on a beat mission, right? He's on a beat, and then he sees a murder scene or something, but the murder or the crime scene, it doesn't even have to be a murder, I guess, but the crime scene is identical or really similar to what happened to his dad.
Sure.
Right?
Right.
And in fact, maybe he could get pulled in. Maybe there's another agent, his recruiter, the guy that's recruiting or the person that's recruiting from this other agency is like, come with me for a minute. I want to get your idea on something. Right? And then it's like he's having flashbacks of his dad's death or something. Right? Like, yeah. So there's that there has to be something for him strong enough break his loyalty to the badge, right? Because he's basically got to like go into that other world. He has to make that debate decision where it's, you know, he doesn't really want to do it, but ultimately he decides to go. And so, yeah, I think maybe he, yeah, and I even think I do think if he decides to go, which he has to, it has to be kind of, shockingly difficult, maybe. Like, it's not just a matter of like, I'm going to quit and I'm going to join this other thing. It's like they have to set up his death or something, or he has to be like, you know what I mean? Like he has to disappear so he can go and to become this underground agent or something. Right. So he has to give up everything that he loves and cared about to do this. Right. Carrot says, is his dad going to be a part of this organization as well? Did his dad actually die, or was it part of the rise for his dad to join this other organization? Ooh, see? Exactly. We don't know. Right? That's something that we could totally, part of the ruse for his dad to join this other organization. That's totally something that could come up. Pantheon 8 says, he's the only living witness of what happened at those crime scenes when he saw his father die as a child, and the agency needs him to solve this case. That's cool. Maybe because it's a similar case, and if his dad did die, or at least is presumed dead, right? Maybe this other agency knows that this guy has been like, they've been tracking him and kind of doing surveillance on him, and they know that every night this sweet perfect cop goes home and is like studying his dad's murder case. So he's like the expert on the case, so they bring him in for this other side, right? Carrot says, or potentially as he goes deeper into this, he could initially find out that his dad failed, and that's why he died. However, even deeper and later in the story, that failure was part of a greater plan. Yeah, that's awesome. I'll come back and have to write these down because you guys are writing some cool stuff. Take a screenshot. So I kind of like that. Like maybe, you know, whether or not right now we resolve whether his dad's alive or not, maybe his dad's the fucking bad guy at the end, like the big bad boss. Who knows?
That'd be cool. That'd be a cool
Right?
turn.
You know, that could be interesting. But let's say for now that his dad is dead, or is presumed dead, and is assumed dead. And yeah, maybe. So what do you guys think? Like what's in my head from this is he's tracking his dad's, he's looking, he wants to make his dad happy, be like do proud, do, you know, be the perfect cop or whatever. He's very in order because his childhood was so chaotic and so in disorder from his dad's death. You know, this guy takes the crust off of his bread and cuts it up into like perfect squares or whatever. But then at night, he's actually like researching his dad's death. Like he just can't get his head off of it because it's so fucking weird and so strange. And then all of a sudden, one day, maybe there's an FBI agent or some kind of special ops cop that is brought in to show him a special crime scene or something. So he goes off with this guy, and the crime scene is nearly identical to his dad's death. And they bring him in because they're like, "Look, you've been under surveillance for years. We know that we know that you've been studying your dad's death for 2 decades. You're an expert on this. We need your help in doing this." Now, the challenge, of course, is that this is a permanent thing, because in order for them to share what they know, in order for the agency, the special secret agency, to share what they know about the case, right, to give the son another clue in his father's death, this guy's whole identity has to get wiped. Right. He becomes like a non-person. That's kind of where my head is.
I have a joke answer for that I'm not going to make here. How he ends up a non-person.
Later. It's good.
Later.
So Zach, Drew, what do you guys think?
I'm still following along.
Okay.
I dig it so far. Yeah,
Zach. Okay. Sorry, Flint.
Oh, I was just gonna say I like the concept that we're building here. You know.
Yeah, it's good.
Awesome, Zach. What do you think? Does that sound like something?
Yeah, I mean, I think we should probably go deeper into that. I mean, this is going to be like a graphic novel, right? That's what we're thinking.
Potentially, I don't think we defined that yet, but it could. It certainly could be.
It was so. I'm seeing this as a graphic novel and kind of like a scene from the X-Files.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
where Mulder's in a room, and we have like a page of him just like pinning up pictures on the wall of what he's found, and then finally it connecting the strings from one thing to another, and the final shot is like this big double page spread of the entire wall, him standing before it, and it's like this giant conspiracy theory.
Yeah,
and all about leading to the death of his dad.
This could also be a subplot in the main book where the primordial's coming back,
Yeah. So our cop is introduced. Our cop is introduced to an agent from I'll just say X agency, whatever. Taken to a crime scene, identical to his dad's death. I'll just say that his dad's. Agency has watched him for years, knows he's an expert in this case. And then they have new info to share with our cop, but in order to do so, cop will need to disappear. Something like that, right? Right.
Yeah.
Does it disappear with 2 S's or 1 P? I can't remember.
No, that's right.
Okay. Disappear.
Yeah, 2 PPs.
2 PPs. Avery's in rare form tonight. So disappear. Now, does it need to be? Does it need to be? I still feel like it needs to be a negative. Like he has to. Maybe it's like. It's not just disappearing. Like how he can't just disappear from the, like just magically, like disappear. Like maybe it's like killed in action. You know what I mean? Like this is a permanent thing. Right? I don't know. Let's see what Carrot says. He pops something there.
Change identity and everything.
Yeah, full on. Carrot says, so once they offer him the chance to have more information on his dad's death and go deeper, he knows he's crossing the Rubicon at that point. So it's a tough decision. I like it. Yeah, exactly. And I think it's a total Rubicon because he actually, in order to solve his dad's murder, he has to give up. He actually has to betray his loyalty to the badge. He's lying to everybody, like his whole life, right? Yeah. He's got to like completely like not be a cop anymore. He has to completely like leave that life. So I think that's a challenging decision, but maybe the pull to his dad and looking at the picture of this new crime scene, maybe maybe that curiosity is enough, right?
Right.
Kara says, I like Todd's idea that maybe he needs to do something that gets him dishonorably discharged, which is a 180 from his character. Yeah. So maybe it's killed in action, or I'll just put dishonorably discharged. Right, because also I also think a dishonorable discharge or something where it's set up to make it look like he fucked up, and so he's been kicked off the force, right? Or quote unquote thrown in prison, right? Something like removed off the table. Like, you know how it is. Like when there's a cop on your beat, or when there's someone if there's someone in your life or in your neighborhood, up in New York, right? So there's someone in your neighborhood, and all of a sudden they go to jail, or they did something wrong, and they're kind of removed from the chessboard. You never see them again, and you don't really wonder about it. Do you know what I mean? Like you're like, okay, well, they're in prison now, or some shit. Like, okay,
yeah.
And
he has to take the fall for the current crimes, so they could fake send him to prison.
Something like that, yeah. Something. He does something, or they don't even. He doesn't even have to do anything. They set it up, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe they set him up for the crime. That'd be kind of hard.
What if he takes responsibility or admits to killing his own father? But it's the only way.
That'd be hard to get him to do that.
Well,
yeah, it's something.
From a
Whatever
standpoint.
happened to his dad, something's weird about it. It's not something a kid could have done.
Yeah, but no.
Open it there.
There's something there.
There's something there. He has to kind of he has to be broken a bit so that he has nothing more to lose, so that he can be in this new life and do things that are going to need to be done. You know what I mean?
What if one of the people that can give him answers to the death of his father, the only way he can get to him is to commit a crime so horrible that he gets sent to this supermax prison or whatever, and he doesn't want to actually kill somebody, so he's got to take responsibility for killing somebody in order to get into that position. And maybe the fact that his father is supposedly dead is how he could do that.
That's interesting.
He takes responsibility for a murder to gain insight.
Maybe one of the only ways he can solve the murder is to get to somebody who is ungettable. You can't, because they're like locked in solitary someplace. They're thrown in the darkest, deepest pit, and the only way to get to this person is to do the same exact thing. Get thrown into that deep, dark pit.
It'd probably mean, one of his character attributes is he's reckless, But that's not something a normal person would do.
Well, one of the things you guys said earlier that I picked up on is that the dad was trying to accomplish something, but he failed. But maybe that is what had to happen in order to save the world. He had to fail. He had to die. He had to sacrifice himself or something like that, where everybody sees him as the loser that failed, when in actuality, he saved everybody's life.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe in order to get to the bottom of exactly why he would do that, the kid has got to get someplace that nobody wants to go, and nobody's willing to let him get there willingly. I don't know, there's a couple of different things in there.
Yeah, that's pretty interesting.
I'll let you guys talk. Honestly, there isn't anybody so far in this story that I've latched on to.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of one of the reasons why I'm waiting to hear you guys say something. Because like with Blood and Metal, I was just going with the flow, and then eventually there was something that was like, oh my gosh, that's awesome. And I grabbed onto it.
Yeah.
And I had fun with it. I haven't found that yet in this story. But
no worries. We'll get
the
there.
more you guys talk, the closer we'll get to it. So
for sure, no worries, man. Everything is valuable. Okay, so we discovers. So just to recap, our cop is introduced to an agent from Agency X, whatever that agency name is, taken to a crime scene. Possibly, this is all possibilities. Identical to his dad's, agency has watched him for years, knows he's an expert in this case. They have new info to share with our cop, but in order to do so, cop will need to disappear. And then there's a whole bunch of ways that could happen.
All right, thought of something. Remember how I suggested that he takes responsibility for his dad's death? Maybe that's not the person whose responsibility he takes for. Maybe it's the murder victim that they're investigating currently.
That's what I already said.
Oh.
Well, nobody listens to you anyway.
Takes responsibility.
But I like it.
Wait, say that again. So takes responsibility, both of you guys. So takes responsibility for.
He's investigating a murder that has similarities to his dad's death, and the only way to get to the person who may actually have answers to what happened, he has to go to jail. He has to go to prison. He has to be accused of a horrible crime, and maybe he accepts responsibility for the crime that he's investigating in order to get going to jail to get more information on his father's murder, as well as the person they're investigating murder.
Takes responsibility for a murder suspect in order to get close to the person that truly knows what happened to his dad.
And maybe that's something he's investigating on his own. And this is before the murder happens. He finds this connection to his dad, and he can't get to this person. Just can't do it. There's no possible. It's like he finds out that who's the Helter Skelter guy? Manson.
Oh,
that Manson has the answers.
Okay.
And he can't get to him. There's no possible way to get to him. And the only way to get to him is to be accused of murder and go to jail and be thrown in the pits.
Okay, what about this? So maybe this ties it together, right? So maybe this cop is brought in. Okay, so this is a plan. So he sees the murder scene. He's introduced by his new partner, this new Agent X guy. They have to remove him off the table in order to get this cop into the agency. He has to be completely removed. Well, as it turns out, the suspect that so the suspect that he needs to talk to is actually like a super powered character, right? Like straight up, and he's like in a super prison that the agency runs or has access to. But you can't, no human is going in there, right? No, this is not a place where like normal people go. It's like a pit of hell for superpowered beings or something.
Yeah,
whatever.
I have an idea about that actually. Since this is the 70s, we should really lean into a lot of like 70s tropes, like even if they're really over the top. So like if he's going after this baddie in the Supermax, we should make him like, I don't know, I was gonna say Huggy Bear from like the Starsky and Hutch, but I don't think he was a bad guy. No, he was an informant, or like something like really over the top 70s villain.
Even if this is not like an Arkham Asylum superhero prison, it's like if it's the worst of the worst, like the federal prison. Do you know what I mean? Like the Fed prison, you don't visit the federal prison. You know what I mean? You're not. Yeah. It's Guantanamo Bay. It is so controlled by this one special government agency that the only way to get in, like agents can't even get in there. Like it's that. See, it's like so top secret.
Prison,
it's like
prison on a barge in the middle of the river. Like,
totally, it is. Maybe it's even run by like robots or something. Like it's not like even an agent could get in there. So the only way to get him in there is to take responsibility for the murder, which puts him in the super prison. Andrew, what's up?
Maybe it's like the Raft from Marvel Comics. It's a supermax prison for supervillains that nobody knows exists. Maybe that's why he has to get in there.
Yeah.
Because it's not a federal prison. Because people can visit a federal prison. I mean,
right.
Lawyers can go to a federal prison.
Right.
This is a prison that nobody is allowed to go to. And he's got to find a way to get in there. He's got to there's got to be a way to get in there.
Kind of like Bel Rev from...
yes, very much so.
Young Justice. Like the first season of Young Justice, There were a couple of episodes where they had two of the characters go to their version of Bell Rev. That's basically what it is. It wasn't an Arkham. It wasn't Arkham Asylum. It was basically the Supermax for supervillains.
Avery, I mean Todd, you remember the Raft from Marvel the movies?
Yeah.
That was the prison that they sent the heroes to.
Right.
You know, it's a secret prison that nobody gets access to.
Yep, that's right. KG, what's up, KG? You're never late. You're always welcome, brother. Floating prison like on Escape Plan with Stallone. Yeah, it could be a completely hidden thing. Carrot says he's like a 1970s version of Ryan Reynolds in Free Guy. I kind of see that, man. I could totally see that. I could totally see him as like not the personality necessarily, like a serious Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah, I'd say really lean into like chest hair, bell bottoms, big gold medallions, and porn stashes.
Honestly, I think this could be the first story arc of this particular character is finding out that who is ever in this prison is the one that has answers to his questions. He's got to get in there, and then he's got to get out, and he's got to do it all himself. This could be like a super cool, prison break story. Exactly. But high max security. And maybe after getting out of this situation, that's what brings him to the attention of the organization that decides to bring him in. And that's the second act. Maybe this is how he proves maybe this could be how he proves that he's got the ability to join the organization. But maybe he doesn't even know he's trying out. Maybe they know. Maybe the organization knows that the person that they got in Supermax can answer the questions of his father's death. They will not give him those answers. They don't want him to know because it would lead him directly to the organization. And he does it all on his own. And when he comes out of it, they realize we cannot keep him from finding out. We might as well let him in. And so that opens the second act.
So by second act, wait, by second, really quick. By second act, are you talking about like second graphic novel, like totally separate story?
Absolutely possibility. Yes. Because I think we're already right here in this little bit that we've done. That's a whole book right there. It could be. Or it could be a 10-page intro. I mean, depends on how you want to handle it. But I think it's this particular part of the story, which opens up so much more, could be a very interesting focus to begin with.
Yeah, what we have so far could easily be a 48-page book.
Absolutely. And then it opens up so many other doors because once he finds out the answer to the questions, and once he becomes like the target of the organization because he now knows too much, they've got to bring him in. That's a whole nother bag of worms. This is almost like in Men in Black. He's a cop. He sees an alien. He knows aliens are real. He goes and confronts them and says, "Hey, I know. I want to join." They put him through tests, and then he joins, and he puts on the glasses. This is that first section.
Right.
He then gets introduced, and he gets into the group, and then he gets to find out all the shit that he's always been curious, that he's always known but never had proof. He's now going to get proof. And I love the idea Todd said about having the person he's trying to get close to is like a supervillain. And maybe it's a secret that he's a supervillain with powers and everything. Oh, there could be some really cool stuff in this.
Now, is this like what's popping in my head is what I'm looking
Akira.
No.
I figured everything leads back to Akira.
Everything does lead to Akira. Akira will be the third act when the giant tech thing explodes from the ground. No, I'm thinking of Mike Zeck's Punisher book. Oh God, bro, I'm losing my mind. Why can't I even have it? I know I have it. You know what I'm talking about? The one where he gets sent to prison.
Yeah.
Andrew
is that the one where he has a race swapping has to become a black.
No. The classic Mike Zeck one, dude.
It's not the one where he gets killed and chopped into pieces and comes back as the
No.
Franken Castle.
No.
Oh.
Is it Circle of? It's not Circle of Blood, is it? It's not
I know. Yeah, I know which one you're talking about. I'm just teasing you.
I know you are. It's not Circle of Blood. It's the classic one. Darn it, I have it somewhere. But basically, he gets thrown in prison.
Is it not the first? Is that not the first limited series?
I don't think so. The first one is the first limited series is Circle of Blood, right? This is Mike Zeck's. It's the one with Oh yeah, it is. Isn't it this one?
Yeah.
Isn't it that one right there?
We can't see it. It's super small. It's like half an inch wide. Yes, very much so.
So like he gets sent to prison. And then, he has to fight his way out. And the problem, of course, is like Jigsaw's in there. And of course, everyone wants to beat his ass in prison because he basically put half those guys away. Right? I'm trying to remember how he escaped. Oh, right. So the warden or somebody eventually gives him his Punisher suit back. And so he's like, he gets let out of prison in the second issue. For like revenge or some shit because it's the Punisher. So, that's what happens in the Punisher books. Come on. Carrot says, love the term bag of worms. He should also use slightly off kilter phrases like that as well. Totally. And MK said, caterpillar mustaches.
I want to see that Zipatone page, that black and white page that was Zipatoned again.
I know. It's later.
So good. It's so good.
It's pretty good. So so this is fascinating. So he goes, and I think we established a few different ways that he goes. And so the next thing is he's in the other world. He's into the search. The search is the adaptation. He's adapting to this new world. So this is what we call the fun and game section. This inside of the search area are all of the trailer moments. Like every time you look at a trailer or every time you see a really cool trailer, 99% of the time, all of those scenes happen inside of the fun and games or the search phase. So let's say that he's gone to prison because we're kind of heading there. What are some of his adaptations? Like what's happening inside of the prison? I mean, first we're in agreement. Are we in agreement that at least for now he goes to prison?
I think that's pretty cool.
Okay. So he goes to prison. So now there's going to be some problems because this is a super max raft type of, it's not a normal prison. He is now, and correct me if I'm wrong here, the only quote unquote human in a supermax prison world of
supermax
prison world of supervillains. Right, so now he's literally the weakest person in the entire space.
Yeah.
He's basically a bag of meat.
Yeah. Well, he learns what a prison wallet is.
No.
you know that trope where it's the new guy in prison and he has to fight people to determine the new pecking order.
Yeah.
It'd be funny if it's that, but it's all of these supervillains trying to figure out what the guy's powers are, and of course he doesn't have any.
That's pretty funny.
Sure. Pecking order, attack, them, let's see, bad guys.
Maybe they're afraid of him because it's like he doesn't use his powers. Maybe he's so powerful that he's holding back. Like they're kind of freaked out by him because he just refuses to use his powers that he doesn't have.
Maybe that's ultimately what gets them. maybe
Maybe the crime that he takes responsibility for is so horrendous that they think he has some type of unspeakable power. Nobody wants to come near him. Nobody wants to test it.
what if what if okay. What if so he's now part of this agency. Okay? So what if he's basically gonna die? Like, you know, he's gonna get his ass kicked or something. And then like as I mean we can figure this out later, like how not to kill suspense. But at some point, like when he's just about to get like wasted, he finds a device or something that he can put on like a Iron Man hand blaster, some kind of thing that can be like used, and he basically like whoever is attacking him, he basically uses this device and just like puts a hole through like an entire cell block or some shit. Right? Like accidentally kills like 6 people or something. Just like
What if the thing that he finds is like a relic from the spaceship and he doesn't know it, and maybe he swallows it or something and it makes him glow, or something crazy like that where he
I
looks
already
like
said
he's a
prison
walking.
mullet.
I don't know what that is, Avery. I guess you're gonna have to educate me later.
Oh, in good green room
no.
later. Use your imagination, Andrew.
A place to keep your money in the prison.
Where would you hide something in prison?
If you don't have pockets.
Yeah, I get it, guys. I get it.
What if we actually give him this turns it almost into like a superhero thing. This is kind of cool. What if what if we and this goes back to where like his base character of who he is. Maybe he actually, and this is going to be, I don't know what it is, but for sake of just argument, let's say he has this ring. We established that there was this Mercury ring, potentially for the inside of the cults, right? He has this ring, and it was actually from his dad. It glows green or some shit, and it's actually the primordial blood or some shit, right? And so, but basically, like he's doesn't know it has any kind of power or anything, but like he's about on the verge of death, and he just kind of defends himself or something, and the ring like activates and just blows a hole through like, you know, whatever.
How does he have the ring in prison?
You want me to say prison wallet?
It's made of mercury. There's like that's not good to swallow.
This is true.
Maybe not. Maybe not. I mean, this is supposed to be a prison that's full of unusual prisoners, right? So let's say, for example, that like one of the prisoners is from a species or has been modified so that where his brain should be, there's just an open space. Like his brain's been moved down to, I don't know, stomach or something.
Sure.
And that's he uses that to like hide contraband, and that guy is like the prison banker. Basically, he's the guy you pay to hide stuff you don't want found. He just hides it in his head.
So he goes to him and is like, "Hey, I need something smuggled in my stuff. When they arrest me, there's a ring."
So, I think that idea is way more interesting than what I'm about to suggest. But I think I'll say it anyway.
Stepping for the bathroom by the minute.
Yeah.
But maybe the ring is magical and can't be removed.
Maybe. Yeah.
But I like the other idea more.
What was the idea? Basically, there's a guy in prison who stores items in his head. Prison banker. What the hell? Brain in the stomach. Stores cops ring for him. Something like that. Now I guess the other question I have, and this is something we can kind of come back to. I like where we're going, but however, just to throw a wrench, are we going to be able to cover a lot of the stuff that we covered in our kind of our microscope play, where, you know, there's like, I mean, I guess he could learn about the cults. And
Yeah.
it would be a learning thing, and he would have to maybe fight the cult. Maybe it's the cult that is actually, one of the cults is in charge of the prison or something.
I definitely feel like we're going down a different direction. I like the direction, but
yeah, no, totally, it's totally fine. Yeah, but it is interesting, right?
yeah.
Let me see. I'm trying to. So, so we've got this guy in prison who stores items in his head. We also, so what else is he searching? So he gets in there. There's an event. He survives the event somehow. The kind of the early attack, right? And now he's in prison and he's so that's part of his adapting to it. What else? What are some of the other adaptations?
What do you mean by adaptations?
Like him adapting.
Oh. To being in prison?
Yeah.
He's going to have to learn to switch modes and just be excessively violent on a dime. Just turn and just go from 0 to monster in a second. In less than a second.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, potentially, for sure.
Any ideas he's had in his life about fair play and sportsmanship and things like that, those type of ideas, gone.
Maybe there's an aspect of his dad that he didn't know about that he inherited, and being in the prison unlocks that. And I don't know. Maybe he is a superhero. He doesn't know it.
Maybe.
Superpowered being and doesn't know it.
Let me see what else I can come up with here. I'm kind of looking for something.
Stress can cause certain genes to activate and deactivate.
Right.
That's true. There's actually some truth to that.
Let's see. Okay, so let's go ahead and say that he's adapting to the situation. He's probably meeting new villains or something, right? He's finding stuff. So he finds what he's looking for, but it's a negative. Like, it's not find is always a problem, because we're also introducing like the main villains here and what they want. So he goes into an unfamiliar situation, right? He's going into the prison basically, but now essentially darkness is descending on him. Like, he's about to get his ass kicked. So what does he find as he's getting used to this? And, you know, we can do all of the things with the gangs are attacking him, or, you know, there's a prison break, right? Like, all that stuff is fun and game stuff. Like, you know, prison break. Maybe he has to, like, you know, maybe that's what triggers the finding aspect, the darkness. So who is the bad guy in this? Who is the the dark force? Because remember, as of right now, he's hunting for somebody in this prison. He's by himself and basically a supermax thing. And the person that he's looking for isn't necessarily the bad guy. It's not the villain.
Right.
It's because that guy is locked up in a cell as well. He's basically like, informant level bad guy. Do you know what I mean? He's not like the big boss. I don't think he's the big boss where he's going to open the door and there's going to be a massive battle and he's got to get. It's almost like it almost seems like we're setting it up to be like. Do you remember that there's a Bruce Lee movie way back in the day, obviously, where he goes through like 7 different levels to get to the master. It's a very Street Fighter where he like each level he fights like a different kung fu master with a different style, like different fighters with different styles. I think one of them was like Chuck Norris or something. So like it kind of seems like there's got to be like going back to our microscope thing. We've got these cults and we've got let's see what the original thing is. It says 2 officers begin by solving a murder due to a mysterious object. This eventually leads to ancient cults, apathetic apes, zombie grandmas, awakening of the primordial, the destruction of the planet, and hard rock music ballads. So we have changed quite a bit because now he's in prison. Unless the prison thing is quick. We also could say that he goes in there and it's more of like, it's part of the fun and games is him being in prison, finding this guy and getting an answer and then getting the hell out. Because if he's in prison by himself, then we're kind of eliminating the partner, we're eliminating ancient cults, apathetic apes, zombie grandmas, awakening the primordial. Like he's going to be in prison. He's not going to be out. Like, it's not going to be like. Is this a movie? Like, is this like if this was a movie? Is it like The Rock or something where it's about a prison, or is it more like one of the treasure hunting?
This is more like the last half of an issue,
right? Or is it like some of the treasure hunting movies? Wasn't like I don't know, like Last Night at the Museum or some shit, like all of the Da Vinci Code. The Da Vinci
honestly,
Code.
I'm more interested in all the different villains, super villains he's going to meet in the prison.
Yeah,
and their backstories and than what he's trying to do right now. There's so many possibilities, so many freaking cool things we could set up for the future.
Mm-hmm.
I was just thinking maybe he meets Subdude in there, or Sub Guy, or whatever his name is.
Sub guy,
Subdude, whatever. That'd be one of the characters he meets in there. So much possibilities.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I think this is a whole story in itself.
Right. I guess the challenge is even in Circle of Blood with Mike Zeck and was it who wrote it? Was it Steve Grant and Joe Duffy? Like the prison. I mean, this is Frank Castle in a prison, which is basically the Punisher in a prison. This is only one issue because then he gets out and he's been given a mission, right? Like he fights the big bad guy inside of the prison, which is Jigsaw, which is his Joker character, like his number one enemy. And then he's I don't totally remember it. I have to read it, but basically they're like, this guy is a perfect tool that we can use, and they basically give him back his Punisher gear and send him out to defeat the mob single-handedly or something. So he's back out by issue 2. He's back out on the streets taking down the mob, right? So it wasn't like a 4-issue miniseries of him in prison. It was the prison was a setting to get to a point.
Yeah.
But it also doesn't disqualify. To Andrew's point, it doesn't disqualify having a scene where or 2 or 3 or 4 where you're meeting a whole bunch of characters.
On that note, I have an idea of how this might play out. So, he gets into prison. Maybe he befriends his cellmate, and he's also encountering maybe a powerful supervillain who's trying to figure out what his powers are. And so that's kind of the enemy of the sequence, and he's pushing and pushing and pushing, trying to start fights, that sort of thing. So you kind of have that building tension over a couple of scenes.
Mhm.
And maybe with his cellmate, who's his friend now, they basically plan to have a prison riot. And so there's a prison riot, and the main character has to fight through all of these goons that kind of enemy character is sending at him to get to the person that he's actually trying to talk to and then get out. So you have an opportunity to meet those characters, and there's some action as well.
Maybe the cellmate is the older character, the other older focused character, who he also has to help break out of prison as well. Maybe there's something there. Maybe that person is like the Tommy Lee Jones to Will Smith. The fact that he's in prison, maybe he's a good cop who got framed or something, and he's trying to do two things at once: rescue this guy from prison as well as get close to this horrible creature bad guy that may have answers. And maybe honestly, maybe he fails to get the information he was looking for in the end, but maybe he gets something else. Maybe he does not get what he's looking for, but he finds out something that brings him to the attention of the higher ups. Because not all the good guys have to win.
And
they can fail.
Maybe he fights his way to the cell that he's trying to get to, and the person he's there to talk to is dead.
That's cool.
Like got killed in the fighting or something.
Damn it, Flint. Spoilers! Maybe he goes in to get close to this bad guy who he thinks has answers. And while he's there, he befriends his cellmate. And when he finally gets to the bad guy he's trying to get to, he's already dead. But maybe the cellmate also has answers that he could use. So the guy agrees to help him, but only if he helps him break out, because he's got to get out. The good guy's got to get out. And the cellmate says, "Take me with you, and I will help give you the answers."
I like this because then at the end, really what he's tested, because even in a supermax prison, you're going to have security guards and all that. There's like crazy armored SWAT, like crazy armored dudes, like almost like Appleseed level of armor. You know what I'm talking about? Like mecha armor almost.
He's got to have an inside help. And I think that's where we can come up with a female character that can kind of be like a maybe not a prison guard, but maybe an administrator that's helping him.
Maybe kind of like a Pam Grier character from like the 70s. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
No.
Somebody who wouldn't be on the floor of the prison, but somebody who's behind the scenes that can help him.
Yeah, we have to give her a reason why she would help him though.
Right.
Maybe it's old girlfriend or family member.
Maybe the guy he's trying to get to murdered her family or something.
Yeah, that would work.
She can't. The state's not going to kill him because it's such a liberal state that maybe he agrees he'll.
Oh, wait a minute. Maybe you're right. Well, is it too weird if like?
Yes.
Well played, team. Well played.
Go ahead, sorry.
Superior Day says, "What's up? What up?"
High
man?
five, Flint.
Superior Days, what's up? AD says, "A prisoner psychologist." That's cool. I like
You
that.
mean
Prisoner.
Harley Quinn? Just caught up on the last 2 seasons and caught up on the 3rd season of the animated series.
Oh,
Oh, there you go. Well, what if he does befriend this prisoner psychologist or something while he's setting up this prison break, and she doesn't agree to help him. Hear me out. They have a relationship, so you have a little bit of that B story going on, right? She realizes that he's different than all the other people here. Maybe he can't answer questions. He's not really guilty, so he's not really able to answer questions in a way that would satisfy anybody thinking they were guilty. Like a psychologist, to KG's point, a prisoner psychologist would kind of know if you were bullshitting or not. You know what I mean? Because they're just attitudes. You can kind of tell. And so what if he sets the prison break, he goes to the prisoner that he's going to get, and he walks in. The supervillain that he was wanting to talk to is dead with like a bullet in his head. And standing in the corner is the female prisoner psychologist holding a smoking gun.
Ooh.
Because this guy did kill. Like, she was there for basically the same reason.
Yeah.
That might be too on the nose, but then she could say something like, or even better, forget the whole like she's there for revenge or some shit. She puts a bullet in his head. Maybe even though she's a prisoner psychologist, again, this isn't a normal prison, so she might be a psychologist by trade, even though she's a prisoner there. This is just her job because she's a lifer in this prison. So she realizes that he's there to find, just through them working together, confidentiality and all that, kind of knows why he's there, or he's been really curious about this guy, asking her questions about this guy. So during the prison break, he goes there, bad guy he wanted to talk to is dead, bullet in his head. She's standing there with a smoking gun and she says, I went out of this prison. You're going to take me with you. I'm the only one. He told me everything you need to know.
Ooh.
No, I don't like it, honestly.
No?
Actually, I have a scene in mind. Where in order to escape, the good guy starts a riot, and he makes his way to the solitary confinement, and he gets to the cell in which our main bad guy he's been trying to get the entire time is at. And instead of him already being dead, he gets to him, and he's like trying to reach him through bars or something. And the bad guy is just so evil that he looks at the kid, he recognizes who he is, and he says, "You're here for answers. You fought your way all the way to get to me in this position, and I'm the only one that has the answers you seek." And he says, "And you're not going to get him." And he snaps his own neck, or he kills himself, like kills himself right in front of the guy. And the guy's like, "No!" And then all of a sudden, the flood of rioters comes in, and he's like, "I can't get to him," and they push him away, and he gets literally swept up in a wave of bodies of people, and he's so close to getting there, and the guy is so fucking sadistic that he kills himself, so the guy will never get those answers that he's looking for. I mean, I think it's heart-wrenching, the idea of that happening. But
So then my question to you would be, what would be like does he leave with what, if that's true?
Yep.
Then and obviously he has to escape with his life. He has to escape the prison.
Yep.
What was the point? What did he learn? He's out of prison. He survives. What now? He has no answers. He's back where he started.
Do you remember the scene in Raiders of the Lost Ark where Indiana Jones goes to the bar. He's going for the girl, and he's trying to get the medallion thing or whatever, and she's dicking him around and trying to. And the bad guys come in, they burn the place down, and in the end, she reveals she had it on her the entire time.
Yeah.
Well, in the end, the roommate reveals to him, I've had the answers the entire time, but you've got to get me out of here in order to find out. That he'd been asking him questions and digging into his life story and so forth. And the guy he was in prison with the entire time has the answers he's looking for.
Why?
And didn't know it. Why? Because the guy's maybe he's a crazy sadistic person, but he realizes.
No. I mean, like, okay. I'm just following the thread. So that's cool. So I like the idea. I'm cool with you. Like, okay, we introduced the bad guy here, the main MacGuffin villain, and I could totally see him like scarred up. His whole body is scarred up. Like he's attempted to commit suicide. Like that's his thing. You know what I mean? Maybe he's like Dr. Death or something. And
yeah,
he just wants to, yeah, totally. And he's been patched up and he just hasn't succeeded or whatever. Or maybe one of his powers,
the state refuses to kill him.
Or he has a power that just makes it really hard and he's finally figured out and he snapped his own neck, right? But
what if his superpower is that he comes back to life after like 20 minutes?
No, so that's what
screw with the guy. So he finds out way later that the guy actually survived.
Maybe that could be kind of cool as like an end boss kind of thing.
Yeah.
But regardless, let's say he snaps his own neck, he ends his life. You're not going to get the answers from me. Like, it's pretty damn convenient that the cellmate would have all the answers. And so the question is like, why does the cellmate have all the answers?
Yeah.
Well, maybe the cellmate tells him he has all the answers, and it's the only chance for him to get the answers is to help him escape with him.
I still like the idea.
I think I set up the cellmate as being a good guy. Maybe he is a bad guy. Maybe that's the whole twist of the story is the two of them have to team up, where you've got the Captain America young kid and a bad guy that's now team up together. It's like Archer and Armstrong almost, I mean, there's so many possibilities here. I think we can really build on it.
I do like the idea of the prisoner psychologist, the female prisoner psychologist, because it makes that a psychologist would have the opportunity to know the secrets, right? And if she's also a prisoner, then
I don't get that part of it. I don't get that part at all. I like the idea of her being on the inside and helping him, but having a completely different reason for helping him. She doesn't want him to get answers. She wants him to kill him or to snuff him out. Finally, maybe her big secret is the fact that the guy killed her entire family, and she's been weaseling her way into a position to get to him, but even as a psychologist, she can't. The only way to get to him is to break the law, and that's what this kid's willing to do.
So what if, just throwing this out there, what if, whatever reason, the guy that he's been looking for is dead when he finds him, and he has, built up that professional relationship with the psychologist of, the psychologist kind of has an understanding that, okay, this kid's actually innocent, Well, what if the psychologist is also the psychologist for the guy that our main character has been trying to get to? So she knows the answers, right? And she could be a prisoner too, and be like, okay, if you get me out, I will tell you the answers.
Yeah, I don't like her as the second to him. I like the gruff villain, the opposite, to be the second to him. Maybe she's there, but I
don't know. I like her.
I don't know if I like her. I like the cellmate better.
What Avery and Zach, what do you guys think? And chat, what do you guys think?
Meh.
Screw it. Me and Flynn will write this one. Let's go, man.
Seems good enough to me. I mean, he needs. I mean, if he's going to be in prison, and it's a supermax, then he's going to need like a way to get out. I mean, I think we were toying with that with one of the other stories. Here's a quick question: where is this prison located? I mean, I'm thinking that it would have to be in New York City. So, and one of the ideas we had when we were spitballing a story about Hurricane Steel is that beneath the Brooklyn, there's a detention center in Sunset Park, Brooklyn, right by the waterfront, and it's a place where I think where Jeffrey Epstein hung himself, actually, believe it or not. So I'm thinking that below that would be like the Supermax, or better yet, what if it was beneath the Statue of Liberty?
Oh, that's cool.
That's pretty bad, actually.
What if
Kind of ironic.
What if in the future, when Under Brooklyn splits open and all the demons and monsters come through, it's in this Supermax prison, which is under the ground, underneath wherever it is.
So it releases a bunch of supervillains as well.
Well, we could say, for example, that the Statue of Liberty is actually enchanted, so that if something like that ever happens, it comes to life to defend the city.
Kaiju battle.
Yeah.
What if that's the rumor? What if that's the rumor? And it's
Liberty
just,
versus the Primordial.
what if that's actually a rumor in the world, but it is definitely not true and never happens. You have like all these innocent people like on the regular pedestrians on the street begging the Statue of Liberty to come to life, and it just doesn't.
I like the idea that it's a rumor, but I also really want a big battle between the Statue of Liberty and the Primordial.
Is this like all of a sudden it's the end shot? It's the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man.
Well, I'm thinking like the torch that the Statue of Liberty carries, like transforms into like a gigantic lightsaber. Like
what?
Like
what
the
if,
Voltron flaming sword thing.
Flaming sword.
or like the sword that Gundam carried in the original series.
What if the Primordial actually uses the Statue of Liberty like a spear when it's fighting the battle planet thing? Actually uses the Statue of Liberty as a weapon.
Interesting.
Actually, if his crown is a bunch of cities, the Statue of Liberty would be like a thumbnail to him.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the Statue of Liberty is it's big, but it's not like the size of it's not the size of the Empire State Building or something. Oh, I don't know. Maybe it is. Interesting. All right, so let's we got about 10 minutes left. I think we could just I think we have some good ideas. I like the what if we have some interesting things. It feels like there's a couple of crossroad ideas here. There's the idea of the cellmate is the character that kind of helps him out and they leave together, or it's a prison psychologist that leaves together that has the ideas. Carrot says, for some reason, I had it in my head that the Statue of Liberty and the Gloam had some sort of connection as well, but I don't know New York geography at all. Yeah, totally. The way that the Gloam would be situated it would either be, I mean, technically, if the Gloam covered Brooklyn, it wouldn't be connected, inside the Gloam. But you also could have it be like, wait a minute, okay. All right. What if this is so stupid? Okay, this is so dumb. Okay, like what if so you know how do you guys remember the Batman TV show from the 60s?
With Adam West?
Yeah, Adam West.
Yeah.
Do you remember how, and this is a Adam
I won't
West.
say I remember it, but
I used to watch it when I was a little kid.
And I'm just bringing this up. They had this in a ton of the 1970s shows, even the 80s. Like, do you know how someone would walk up to the mantle and there would be like a statue or something, and they would tilt the statue, and then a secret door would open?
Oh yeah, of course.
Right? What if the Statue of Liberty was Was just like a primordial, like just a giant fucking lever.
Oh my god, I love that so much.
And it brings the whole prison up out of the ground,
It's so
rises it from the ground.
monumentally stupid. I love it so much.
So carrots, there you go. The Statue of Liberty, a gloam, have some sort of connect. It turns the gloam on or off. I don't know. Willie D says yes. Ray just says feels like something should happen in prison that isn't quite explained or understood yet. Something more than what is intentional outcome, but continues to sit uneasy until it's played out. Like, yeah, 100%. Carrots also loves the Statue of Liberty as a giant lever to open up a secret passage. How fucking funny is that?
It's so stupid.
You know what? I'm gonna put that down. I'm gonna put that down as like they find. I'm just gonna put it down.
Have the primordial access as his ship.
Statue of Liberty is in fact a giant lever that opens something or activates. Say activates the gloam. So dumb. I love it.
It's the deactivation lever for the gloam.
Yeah, it activates or deactivates. You know, you have like people in the gloam like just begging for the Statue of Liberty to be like, you know, shifted. So dumb. Oh, that's awesome. Wow, that's a win.
Oh, my face hurts.
Oh man, excellent. And I agree with Rages too. That it does feel like something should happen in the prison that isn't quite explained or understood yet. Something more than what was an intentional outcome, but continues to sit uneasy until it's played out later. Definitely. I don't know what that is yet. I think maybe this is where our part of the story kind of hangs for the night. We did pretty good. We actually made it through four pieces of the dial. You know, we're almost kind of halfway there. I guess the question we have to come with next time is, now did the good guy start the prison riot, or maybe the prison riot starts and it turns out after he's free, you learn that actually it was in fact the cult or one of the cult groups or something. Like I think we'll have to make the decision next time to say, do we want to pull it in? You know, we've got the officers and the agent. We've got the solving a murder. One of the agents goes into prison, but then we have to. We don't have to, but do we pull it out when they come out of prison and bring in the ancient cults, apathetic apes, zombie grandmas, awakening of the primordial, destruction of the planet? I mean, the destruction of the planet would come later, but you certainly could have the awakening of a primordial or a primordial something, or maybe the rumbling under the ground tilts the Statue of Liberty, which activates the gloam or something. So we'll have to kind of figure that out as to like, do we go back to that initial premise, or do we kind of change something else? Ray just wants us to change the word lever to lover.
Okay.
Can you read it? The Statue of Liberty is actually the lover of Primordial. Primordial's lover. KG says perfect. What do you guys think? Any last parting thoughts before we blow this popsicle stand?
I'm really like in love with the idea of the Statue of Liberty being like a giant kaiju warrior with a lightsaber. I'm sorry, I'm just thinking that would look really, really awesome on a page.
That would be pretty sweet.
Yeah, I mean, can you just imagine the movie version of that? I mean, you like a 30-foot tall screen and a giant Lady Liberty screaming bloody murder, doing like a kung fu flips through the air over New York while wielding a lightsaber.
The character name could just be like Statue of fucking Liberty.
Or or just Libby.
Libby. Yeah.
I don't know. I'm thinking. I'm just thinking that.
Oh wait, maybe her name is oh shit, Rocket's Red Glare.
There was a performance artist called Rocket's Red Glare from the '60s.
Really? Oh man.
Yeah, I don't know what he was a performance artist about, but he was a hippie that was probably something very not safe for work.
Or just Rocket's Red. We'll figure it. We'll figure that out. But whatever.
Yeah, Red Rocket.
There is something interesting about the Statue of Liberty putting like war paint on and doing like a whole like Rambo montage.
It's so stupid.
Instead of like a Bowie knife, it's like a cargo ship.
It even drops the robe and it's super ripped and has like it has like Wonder Woman style armor on.
Yes. Oh, I love it.
Oh man, that's fucking awesome. Awesome, guys. Well, I think we're gonna call it there. Once this thing starts going off,
I think we're getting a little silly.
Yeah. Hey, we came up with the idea that the Statue of Liberty is in fact a giant lever that opens or activates or deactivates the globe over Brooklyn, which is pretty freaking funny.
A lot of our ideas start out silly and then refine into something much, much more later.
Well, what's interesting too is there's something to be said for like we come up with these ideas and we're all working together, like chat, audience, and all of us working together. Like a lot of these ideas are kind of like not serious, but like serious comics or serious movie like, right? And then to have something completely absurd pop in is like a reminder that this is just a ridiculous thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right.
I love that kind of stuff. I think that stuff is absolutely great. Yeah, like even like in the fact that like even we did that in Blood and Metal. Like Blood and Metal is basically gladiator / Roman, almost like a classic MGM movie, like a classic MGM, like Spartacus, right? It's like Spartacus, but all of a sudden you've got this like alien blob form in there that's like what?
Yeah.
Like his presence is kind of that absurd head nod. You know what I mean? So I'm totally cool with that. I love that kind of stuff. Well, guys, thank you so much. Another exciting night. Best nights ever. Thursday nights. Love it. Jamming, throwing down, coming up with really cool stuff. Everybody in chat, KG, Rages, Carrots, Willie D, Superior Days, Panthanate, what's up? MK Kronos, all you guys. I don't want to miss anybody. Dusty, can't forget Dusty. What's up, Dusty?
Nope.
I love you, Dusty. Dusty's here. Everybody jamming. Love it. Love you guys. So what we're going to do, we're going to keep working on this. We will see you next week. In the meantime, pop over to Discord. We'll be hanging out in Discord. We may have games tonight, maybe not. I don't know. We'll leave that up to you guys. See if you want it. Otherwise, we will see you guys soon. Thank you, everybody. And just remember, take care of yourself, take care of other people. Love you.